Hi, welcome to Candor Beach, where we bring to you our take on world events and how they impact consumer psychology in India and around the world. I'm Ashish, a management consultant and marketer.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sailesh. I deal with financial instruments, especially lending. Today, we're going to talk about immersive experiences and their use cases with different types of businesses.
Right, so Sailesh, let's start by defining what immersive experiences are.
So, it majorly consists of three major parts: virtual reality, augmented reality, and a mix of both of these, which is mixed reality. And
So what is AR, what is VR, what is MR, and do you have is that already has that already proliferated the markets?
No, it's still not because the entry fee, the cost is little varies depending on what type of instrument or technology you use. But let me just explain first what VR. VR is virtual reality. You get a headset, and basically you can immerse yourself completely into the environment. So it has the fourth dimension to it. So you can more than the
The
uh,
fourth dimension, you mean a third dimension?
I mean the third dimension. So you have it's like the Resident Evil game, right? The fourth dimension sphere. And so coming back to it, so virtual reality is you get the headset, you either like immerse yourself, watch a movie, play a game, or experience a certain place, and all this stuff is possible with an headset. However, augmented reality, you don't need a headset, but your phone or your device actually makes it possible for you to see. For example, Nike had this, shoes where you can take a look how they look on your feet. That's augmented reality through an app. So
I saw this with IKEA as well. Like the
yeah,
IKEA app, you can protect furniture. And I think the last WWDC, the Apple event, they had an AR fix as well. Like you could add it to your calendar, and then like you could pop it up, and it would have this bubble that showed the date. It's like a cool way of introducing an event as well. But yeah, go ahead.
yeah, but that's augmented reality. And now we come to the third part, which is mixed reality, which is a mix of both virtual reality and augmented reality. Think of it like doing the augmented reality in a VR headset. So bring in, so you'll have a complete third dimension. You can literally wear these shoes and walk with it, and literally see yourself walking with it instead of just looking at your feet and see how it actually fixes onto your feet.
Right. So like beyond manicures and maybe looking at your own feet or fueling someone's foot fetish, what could I use these technologies for?
The use cases, I would say, like there are multiple. First, the see in let's talk about the medical field, right? So let's say somebody has a phobia, and arachnophobia. Let's say you have an arachnophobia, which is the fear
Ron
of
Weasley. Yeah. No, I've watched Harry Potter. I've read the books. I know what arachnophobia is.
the spiders.
But yeah,
Yeah. So fear of spiders. So let's say you have fear of spiders. So the first steps you go to therapy is basically the therapist is going to be like, he'll put a spider inside a glass jar and make you touch that glass jar, or you're taking slowly, you're removing your phobia from your brain.
to see my
So
heart start palpitating.
I mean, you do this, and then you do the same thing in virtual environment, with a virtual headset. So there is no real, a real organism in there, but you will still be able to slowly improve your, the issue, your phobia.
Off the top of my head, like this, it would make for a great movie experience as well. Like
Oh,
I think
yes.
at Universal Studios or someplace, I forget where, they have like a 4D or a 5D theater where they
Yeah,
also have air shooting out of
yeah,
crevices in your chair to give you that feel that there's whatever you're looking at. I watched Shrek, I think, and there were spiders crawling out on the floor, and they shot air to replicate their movement or something of that sort. Now with a VR headset, like I could have an entire movie, like I could watch an entire movie where through my point of view, like I could be the protagonist. That would be very interesting.
yeah. Think of it, movies and first-person movies in a VR.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you were basically, think of it like you are fighting, you are running, you are doing everything, and you watching it in VR.
We
So
should IP this, yeah?
yeah, I mean,
Tomorrow.
I mean, think of it like I've been in that experience in the Universal Studios. There was this Transformers thing. So
Okay.
basically, you experience your Bumblebee, and you are experiencing how you falling down, you getting up, jumping in water. Literally, they'll splash a little bit of water on your face. Like it's man, it's crazy.
Right. So yeah, so that was VR. You've also talked about AR. We've talked about a couple of examples. What about MR? Who's doing MR?
MR is, I think that's your field. You should know more about MR, right? Who's doing MR?
um, so I believe the HoloLens that Microsoft's developed is in MR, and I don't know what Apple's coming out with, but there are strong rumors that they're coming up with AR glasses, maybe mixed reality glasses. I don't quite know. Mixed reality, like you explained, was a combination of VR and AR. And in terms of use cases, we will circle back to them towards the end of the video. But I wanted to touch upon,
Snap did it, right? Snap. I mean Snapchat with the
yeah,
Snap
they
goggles,
did.
or
Did they do MR or was that
I
AR? I'm
think
not
it was.
sure.
I'm not really sure, but Snap tried to do it, but it wasn't that successful.
Why do you think that?
I don't know. Their marketing probably it's they didn't market it pretty well. Like how Google, there's the Quest Pro. The Quest Pro is actually tied very well to the gaming industry. So they just created this, like Snap creating these glasses really meant they didn't put it into some kind of use. Like who is really going to care about wearing these glasses and going out and clicking Snapchat pics? Instead, they
Um,
tie to something which is useful.
there could be a market like with a generation that's increasingly fixated on like
TikTok.
there's so much money in TikTok and well mostly YouTube and these social media platforms. Like I'm sure there are going to be powerful use cases that come up if they aren't there already. Um, I wanted to talk about a couple of other things. Like when you brought up Snapchat, I mean, when you brought up Snap and those glasses, I was also thinking about Google and their glasses. When Google launched their glasses, why do you think they failed? Because they didn't pick up. What happened there?
It's so the market's very new. People were not used to this. So see, like for example, even metaverse right now, when it really dropped, people were all up on it. But then it slowly waned out. But it's going to take time for people to actually get used to it, sign up, and everything. Metaverse is going to take off,
Hmm.
but there is this initial what do you call lethargy, like um
Let's call it the diffusion of innovation. There's this diffusion of innovation curve where you have innovators and then early adopters, early majority, late majority, and then the laggards. That's how it's been
yeah,
defined, I feel like, by
inertia is
Rogers diffusion
going to
curve.
cost a lot of people, like it's the inertia to get into the new technology. It's going to take time. Like look at Bitcoin, for example. It took forever to become mainstream. For
It's still
somebody
not
paid,
mainstream.
yeah, like
It's not mainstream.
it's not mainstream, but it's for it. It took on. It was launched in 2009, right? 2009 until like 2015, 16. It was very very small. Like nobody really care for Bitcoin. Somebody bought pizza with Bitcoin. It was so insignificant. So it's the initial time is going to be the same way with all this new technology.
Hence the diffusion curve. I
Yeah.
think it was called the Rogers diffusion curve. But see, so with Google, I think there was another point that you had alluded to, the price of these products. They're very pricey, and it's not easy for the common man to just get in and wear them. Like the value proposition at that point in time, particularly, wasn't strong enough for people to jump in and say, "All right, I as an individual, I'm going to start adopting this." But that's what a lot of companies are working towards now. They're creating a sort of a platform where the value proposition is made stronger by the addition of third party apps or third parties basically who come in and say that, all right, so I'm going to develop these games for you, or I'm going to develop these use cases that you can, like productivity use cases, or maybe like watching movies on VR. Like if I had all of those things, then I'd be more comfortable with adopting that platform. I think that's something that people are working towards. That's where Google failed. Eventually, the Google glasses were used for engineering and manufacturing because industries were rich enough where they could afford Google glasses, and they saw a solid use case because the technology, the idea was phenomenal. They were ahead of their time.
See, I think HoloLens was what, $3,000. The
Mm.
initially was 3K. But I'm not sure how what's the price right now. But
$3,500. HoloLens 2.
yeah, the originally when they launched it, it was somewhere around 3K. So it
Okay.
was and the entry into it is pretty pretty pricey. So you cannot bring it mainstream or make it very easy. Like VR headsets, there are many VR headsets they sell like even $15-$20, but there is no comparison. Um,
With the experience, yeah.
that experience, the experience you have with these HoloLens Quest. Quest is fine. It's about like 500, 400, $500, but they also come with the joysticks, right? So it helps with the gaming systems.
Right, and they're also talking about introducing things like haptic gloves, haptic touch essentially, and there are a lot of use cases there.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
what
want to
I'm
broach upon
saying.
that
Yeah,
right
the
now.
haptics. Um, it came a long way, but it's going to take a little bit more time for people to actually adapt it into general stuff. Like there's this place called Lowe's, right? This it's like a
Yeah,
hardware store. So you can actually go in there and just like how you said IKEA, you can actually see what kind of let's say if you want to put up a sink in your bathroom, see how exactly it fits in your bathroom, or you can experience that. And using very few people used to do it, now slowly they're picking up. So the use cases will take time to build up, but it's a very good technology, even in
right.
entertainment.
You brought up the metaverse. Can we talk about the metaverse? Is that also that will likely influence the immersive experience sphere? No.
Yeah, so metaverse, I think it's a mix of all these three into one, and a full on experience. So it's like imagine you imagine you going virtually and walking into a bar having a drink, and you're located
Actually,
somewhere.
having a drink.
Yeah, I mean, the you can have
I know Subway had like a metaverse use case where people sold sub sandwiches, but what is the point of that? Like, unless I can actually consume it,
it's
what's the
it's
point of drinking virtually?
experience. So if you want to go, like let's say if you want to experience a strip club in
What a great example.
Vegas or something located in Europe, so you can do it. So that's the experience in itself. So they can actually render the entire thing, the entire place. Have a 360-degree cameras, and you can actually have a full-on experience from a virtual location. So that is a metaverse use case, actually.
Yeah, it's almost like the picture you're painting is almost like a metaverse OnlyFans.
Yeah, yeah. And with I mean, OnlyFans is only 2D. Now that you're going 3D, you can walk
Yes,
behind the girl if you want to.
but right. You were also talking about healthcare opportunities. You talked about healthcare opportunities with immersive experiences in general. So can you expand on that, please?
So healthcare, you have one. I was explaining the phobias, how you can do therapy. A lot of
Hmm.
therapy can be done. So let's say you want to have a virtual meet in the metaverse. You can actually meet a therapist online instead of the. I understand the video conference stuff, but this is going to be way more natural. You can literally put on the VR headset, walk into the therapist's office, and feel like having a real conversation with them.
And that makes all the difference, right? Like immersive experiences, that's the point. Like if I feel like I'm actually there, the whole experience in a multitude of ways, the whole experience becomes a little more. It's practically like I'm physically there, and we've seen that engagement experiences have like physical engagement, physical experiences. Like when I say physical, I mean like real world, physical world. They have a strong the value proposition, the value add is so much stronger. The utility is so much stronger when I'm physically present with you. Like the session that we are conducting right now over Skype video, it'd be so much more powerful if this was VR.
Exactly.
And that
So
was what Microsoft was trying to build with. That is what I think Zuckerberg originally had in mind when they bought Oculus. I think.
yeah, it's
Sorry,
actually
I
a
interrupted
good
you.
idea. But even in medical, so let's say a medical student literally can practice or learn a surgery using VR. So
Right.
you have a VR headset, and the surgeon can learn a certain procedure without being there. It's going to save a lot of resources for the hospitals, and yeah, and especially the medical, like the establishment itself.
I think the whole process of I don't want to be vague here, but I believe originally like when these medical books first came in, and I'm talking about like centuries ago, they were talking about how certain emotions were fueled by certain organs, and they believed that blood was primarily what caused issues or cured issues. And there was this whole cure, right? Where they would drain you of your blood, they'd put leeches onto you. And then once we were allowed to cut open cadavers, that's when we realized that, all right, so these are organs, these are how things are connected. The brain primarily directs A, B, C, D functions. And I feel like not having to use cadavers, and easy access to being able to perform multiple surgeries, that would be phenomenal like, that would revolutionize
No, I mean
surgery.
cadavers. You still need cadavers. So when you're in basic gross anatomy and stuff, you still need that. But in complex surgical procedures, they can practice on a VR. So there's surgical procedures you cannot just do once or twice and learn it. You have to have experience or multiple surgeries. But now you can just evade all those mistakes by learning directly on a virtual environment. Like how they do offshoot topic, but like VR in learning flight pilots.
Simulations, right?
Simulations, exactly. So you can do it multiple times, land in different kind of environments, wind speed, all the stuff. You can
Practice Top Gun moves where your plane's upside down.
go at 10, Mach 10. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And the metaverse, how do you think? how do you think adoption is going to increase? Like one of the things that I mentioned that I believe is going to be this platform model where you have supply and that will attract demand. What are your thoughts there?
So one thing is price. The adoption of this technology will increase as the price starts to come down. Another thing is we had this chip shortage, right? So that's why all the electronics shot up. But slowly, there are countries which are actually working on the supply chain issues, fixing the chip shortages. Once that starts to
India and the Tatas.
exactly, once that starts to alleviate, the price of the electronics will go down, and the penetration in these technologies will start to increase.
Right. What about the technology? Is there like how complicated is the technology? Can I enter the market right now?
uh, like enter what, as a customer or as a business, use as a business?
I'd like for us to explore two things, and primarily from the business perspective, like from creating products and creating services. Like if I were a business, how would I enter this market? Like what would be smart?
So you have to catch on to a certain kind of use case. So basically, what is the problem you're trying to solve using this?
Mhm.
So let's just take the medical itself. So what are you like if you brought in the VR? So if you're trying to add a VR set to the market, how would you introduce it? Therapy wise, you can actually start promoting a product directly with the therapist itself. So you go talk to the therapist, be like, if you have clients who are not able to come to the clinic and be able to do it, you provide them with a free VR headset, or at a minimal cost,
Free free VR headset.
free, but at a minimal cost, they buy it, and or when or clients who are actually traveling. For example, the patients have to travel and they have a therapist. So the therapist can say, "Yeah, I'll provide you with the headset. Once you're back, you give it back to me," or something like that. And once they experience it, they're gonna have a better understanding, and for sure, they're gonna buy the product itself.
Maybe. So one of the things that I believe is going to influence this sphere is with respect to India particularly. We've seen that India, the majority is not going to want to spend a lot of money on buying an expensive, like a $3,500 set. That is steep. Apple's AR glasses are rumored to also hit the 3K mark. We don't know just yet at the time of this recording, but that is expensive. Now you have examples like Geo with Geo Dive, where it feels like Google Cardboard, but a little more sophisticated, wherein they've created like a mold where you can pop in your phone and then experience VR. I think that's what is going to take off, at least to begin with, at least
Yeah.
to get the ball rolling,
Step
and
in
then
the door.
create the. Sorry.
Step in the door.
Yeah, yeah. So I think there are those examples that businesses could vie for. There are businesses that could create these products. Like obviously, when you have products, you can influence the ecosystem. That's what Apple's done. Google hasn't exploited that as much, but Google has done that to an extent as well. Like if you have the Google suite of services, you have Microsoft suite of services as well, and that's where they're coming in with their products, their set of products as well. Amazon, of course, there is a certain degree of openness, but they've also come up with their set of products. Like what these brands are showing, off the top of my head, what these brands are showing is their ability to understand that once they get that foot in the door, once they are able to ensconce the customer to an extent, they are able to dictate what goes into the platform.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be something that we're also going to see in with immersive experiences. Like if like with healthcare, like a therapist is there are therapists who are partnering with superhuman, or is
Mm,
it ultra human? I forget.
I think
I
it,
should know this. Ultra Human, I think, was what
With,
it was called.
I've
Yeah,
actually
Ultra
used
Human.
Geodive, so the headset,
Hmm.
they mostly use it for cricket. So if you want to watch cricket,
Geo
so
is doing that.
yeah, Geo. So they have this app called Geo Immerse, and you can download that, and basically gives you a living room environment with a TV in the front where you can watch cricket. It was nothing big.
Yeah, but
Um,
there, I've seen examples where they have like productivity screens. They have multiple screens that you can switch to based on what direction you're looking at. Like you fix the view and then like you look across and then you can experience whatever screens. And this is in high def, so I don't need to buy three
Screens
monitors
like for
to
stock.
watch. Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. If
Yeah,
you were a stockbroker, you don't need to buy multiple screens. Or if you are in a small space like Hong Kong or when I say small space, I mean like rent is expensive, real estate is expensive there. So small spaces, you don't have to live cramped. Like you can create these experiences where you can make better use of your physical environment.
yeah.
Those are things that I think are going to start coming up. Um, But Sailesh, like we've discussed what immersive experiences are. We've discussed some use cases, like why people should be excited about an immersive experience future. I think it's going to be compelling. There are a lot of businesses entering it, like luxury brands are getting in. Why do you think luxury brands are getting in?
Think fashion. It's going to
Yeah,
change the fashion industry completely.
yeah, and like the luxury brands, like I mentioned, they tend to be avant-garde because they're trying to capture attention. And if I'm doing something that is trending or has the potential for virality, as people say, then then obviously they get mind share, like they're top of mind. I know that Michael Kors is doing a like they've done their event on the metaverse, or they Gucci's done an event on the metaverse. I'm using tokens to create I'm using token technology, so NFTs basically, to sell products. Uh, in the future, you could see rewards being provided to consumers, like loyalty, and your reward system could move to the blockchain, where for better tracking, for whatever, what have you, and you have these products, these NFTs that I can now visualize my loyalty tokens. It's not just sitting in my wallet like a Geo coin or a Gucci coin or whatever they call it.
Exactly. The monkey.
It's something I can see.
The You can buy the monkey. What's that
By
one?
the ape, I think
Uh,
they were called board apes,
yeah, board it.
and
Just
that
for
gives you exclusive
0.5 million,
rights
that's
to
fine.
party.
It's
Yeah,
worth it.
yeah. So you have these the primary focus for these brands right now is to be trailblazers, uh, to be seen as people as pioneers, and therefore part of the viral culture, because that's something that's huge on social media, obviously. So I feel like this is going to pick up. The use cases that we discussed in healthcare are solid use cases. We didn't talk about digital twins. We didn't talk about a few other use cases with the metaverse that could also influence this sphere. I mean, like one quick example of digital twins is like, what if I created an environment in an industry? These are things that companies are doing right now. Like I create an environment where and it is such that I don't have to like we live in Vizag, and there's this underground cellar of sorts where there's a lot of gas that's stored, like LPG, like in case of emergency, the country can tap into this reserve. Now, if there's a bomb, or if there are levels that aren't maintained, like the pressure, or if water gets into this chamber, it's obviously not good. But now, if I create a digital twin, I can monitor this. I can monitor this cavern. I can also see specifics that I might not be able to comprehend with just plain sensors. So people create digital twins. It's also true of the automotive industry, manufacturing industry, obviously. That's another example of potential use cases. And there are adjacent technologies that could support immersive experiences. We talked about the headsets. We talked
Mhm.
about like one thing that wasn't mentioned was like with the metaverse, you can also have desktop versions. So I don't have to have these headsets to interact with a specific to interact with a metaverse environment. But again, like maybe use cases will evolve into the future. But there are desktop versions that a lot more people could get into, like from an adoption point of view, pardon me, that would be solid. Then there's we've talked about tokens. There are also near field technology, like you could use NFC technology to gatekeep certain experiences. Like if because the point is to create paths of least resistance. The point is to make things easier. So if I have it such that I'm walking into an environment and NFC, they're already used for payments, I could also maybe comprehend uh, use cases with the metaverse, with augmented reality, like when we had Pokemon Go, where people were chasing, yeah, where people were chasing around. I don't want to call them figments of your imagination, but
I mean, you can't do that, bro. It's very important. I tried to catch.
I played Pokemon when I was younger, so I know that it is super important.
I tried to catch a Pikachu.
You did.
I played Pokemon. It was fun. I don't know
Yeah,
if you played
so
it. Yeah.
I did. So we've talked about we've talked about some of the use cases, what immersive experiences are, some of the use cases. How do you think this is going to take off? I think we touched upon it with the 3D, with the platform model, with some of these adjacent technologies. Is there something that you want to add onto that?
I think automotive. I think if you get into automotive, if we can bring in this technology, you can probably, reduce a lot of costs on the automotive industry because you can basically get rid of the clay models. Clay models are very expensive for cars,
Oh,
which yeah. So instead of a clay model, you can have a virtual clay model on the on the VR on the metaverse. So you can actually have the complete feel of the car and everything, but you don't have to spend so much of money making a clay model. Even
and
now,
this would.
experience good like Audi, all the German cars make clay models, which are very very expensive. That will
How
actually
would this influence architecture as well? Like clay modeling. I imagine modeling. When you said modeling, I was thinking about
yeah.
buildings and layouts and such. That would also maybe influence
So
architecture,
let's
or
say
they already do digital.
the architecture itself, like you can have the plain structure of the building and
Hmm.
put it in this technology. See if you want to have it a classical architecture or you want to have it a modern architecture. Or in interior
Layouts as well.
layouts as well. Yes. So the
The
interior,
government can use it.
yeah, I mean, you can literally project, and let's say you have a client. The client want to come in and basically he wants a complete a modern kitchen done. You're gonna have all these new, the like a modular kitchen projected on a VR headset, and he can have an experience walking down in the entire house before even it's constructed.
Yeah, I feel like the use cases seem endless then.
Yeah, there is like you can literally talk for probably 10 podcasts and we won't be done.
All
So,
right.
okay, so let's wrap it up and give what are the bullet points?
So the what was AR, VR, MR,
Mhm.
and maybe the metaverse as well, because the metaverse is a part of this entire conversation eventually. Tokens are also a part of this. I call them tokens and not NFTs because you're also including currencies at that point, or well, outright tokens because not everything's a coin. These five things, there are adjacent or complementary industries, complementary tools like NFCs that we talked about that enable this entire field. Headsets, obviously, some headsets are complete, some headsets require you to insert your phone. They're just molds. So
Haptic.
they're haptic gloves, thank you. So these enable the experience. These help with adoption as well to make sure that the general mass, that it gathers, what's the word for it? The snowballing effect, the critical mass. There we go.
Yeah, critical. Okay.
Yeah, so these help attain critical mass. We talked about some use cases. We talked about a lot of use cases. I think most of the
Yeah.
podcast was centered around that.
Multiple use.
Um, yeah, and we also talked about some methods through which people can enter, like businesses can maybe enter this sphere, like either as part of the platforms, as part of the supply or demand for platforms, as creators of products like Amazon, Apple, that's Google, etc. Uh, Meta, I can't not mention Meta and Microsoft because they're the forerunners here. Um, yeah, that's what I feel like we've discussed. Is there anything I missed?
think that's I think that's good for today's podcast. We let's not
Yeah, it's a very
you know,
extensive first cut.
yeah. So, but anyways, but
Movies, we talked
we
about
just
movies as well.
broadly discussing about immersive experience. So that's about it. So thank you
All
guys.
right. Thank you. We'll have to copyright that movie idea. You or did you say it was already done?
I'm not sure.
All right, movies in VR, first
Yeah,
person.
first person. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
I forgot that movie, man. There was this one movie. It was Crazy Joe or something like that. It was a first person movie.
Okay, we'll figure that out on the
Yeah,
next podcast. See you guys.
definitely. See you guys.